Legends, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the new 8 HP automatic gearbox conversions. Okie dokie, so if you're a car nut like I am, and I guess really anyone who's watching this channel is a car nut, you must have been sleeping in to not have noticed in the last year or so the 8 HP 70 swaps in a variety of different cars. So what we're going to do here on this video is pretty much like a how-to guide and what I have had to do to install a 8 HP 70 gearbox into an S15 Silvia. This is going to be, I guess, for all the Silvia platforms, some of the Skyline platforms as well. They're going to be very similar. But these are all the bits and pieces, obstacles, and all the gear that you potentially need to install into the S chassis. So give me 20 seconds and I'll just remove this R154 gearbox, clutch kit, drive shaft, selectors and everything and get it ready for this new install. Alrighty, now that that's out of the way, the next question is, where do you get everything from? So I got everything from one place, Track Industries. Charles is the owner of Track Industries and he's an absolute legend. Actually, he's the Don Mega. The reason is he keeps everything in stock, very knowledgeable, always wants to help, and is just like super fast and efficient with everything. So word up to Charles, you're an absolute legend and I highly recommend him. So if you want anything or any information, you can obviously contact me, but you can contact Charles directly, let him know that you've seen this video or that you know Motorsport Tuning Solutions, and he will really look after you. So thanks Charles, you're a legend. Okay, first things first, let's check out this gearbox. Alrighty, so here we have an 8 HP 70. This is one of the higher torque rating gearboxes. I think it can go as high as an 8 HP, maybe 90 or 95, found in like the Hellcats. But this is pretty much the go-to gearbox to use for all of our cars. You have two different styles. These gearboxes are found in rear-wheel drive applications and all-wheel drive applications. This is an all-wheel drive style 8 HP gearbox found in like Range Rovers and stuff like that. So what you need on a all-wheel drive style gearbox, which are the more common gearboxes, it's quite hard actually to find the rear-wheel drive variances, but they do exist. They're just a little bit more expensive and hard to find. So it needs an adapter on here to go onto a rear-wheel drive application. And that adapter is a nice billet piece that 8-speed supply. So it can handle the power, can handle all the fruit that you throw at it. It's a nice piece of kit. So that's one of the first mods you need when you're doing a real all-wheel drive style gearbox. You need the adapter. Okay, now that kind of leads us on to talking about the drive shaft. Nothing too complicated here at all, but this is a 1350 style flange which goes onto the back of the gearbox there that we were just talking about. And then yeah, you just get a one-piece drive shaft made up. Being the fact that we are a solid connection on the gearbox end and solid on the rear diff end, you need a slip joint installed. So that takes care of that. Okay, next thing to look at is, does the transmission fit in the tunnel? Yes, it does. Do you have to manipulate and panel beat some of the tunnel? Yes, you do. Nothing too crazy. Do you have to shave off some of this to make it as slimline as possible? Yes, you do. I'll slowly go over everything that I've sort of done to this. You have like brackets that sort of stick out here, and I've just given them a nice sort of clean shave off to try and keep this as, I guess, slim as possible, because she's a bit of a chunky monkey. So there was a bracket here, there's a bracket there. These brackets came out to about here, this one here, this one here. Shaved this all off, trimmed down the top here. So you can see I've sort of it was like a square edge, given a bit of a trim up there. This is a breather on here. There was a bracket here, here. So nothing too drastic, but a little shave up is nice. Makes life a little bit easier. And then I'll see if it can, if the lighting's not too bad down here, but it should focus in a sec. Cool, 2JZ, a little bit different to an SR, but this is obviously an S15. I've had a couple of different engines in here. I've had an RB25 on an SR, just pulled out the R154 for the 2J. So I'd already panel beated a lot of this just to get a little bit more clearance. Yes, you do have to bash this a little bit to make life easier. All right, it's nothing too drastic, but it's all fits in nice and snug. Okay, another thing to note. This is what you pretty much class as the flywheel now. This is an automatic flex plate, they call it. This isn't the factory one on a 2JZ, but all autos use like a flex plate, and it's the same as a normal sort of flywheel, a lot thinner obviously. So it's got the teeth on the outside for the starter motor, and I've opted to go for a higher spec one. So this can handle like 2,000 horsepower for drag cars and stuff like that. You can use the factory flex plate in an auto for a 2J, so that isn't an issue at all. All you do need is the factory machined thicker washer. So this would go onto the crankshaft itself. This will go over the top of that, and then you use ARP bolts to fasten it all down. So that's the flex plate side of it. Okay, next up is the Domiworks billet aluminium adapter plate. Now, one thing to note is these adapter plates are a little bit universal. So they have a lot of bolt holes and threads and stuff that you do and don't use, because I think they support like DCT transmissions, 8 HPs, so on and so on. They come with a torque converter adapter as well, and a big sort of, I don't know what you call this, sort of bush, big sort of washer adapter for the torque converter itself, as you can see here. So what sort of happens is, inside here, that goes on to there. It's like a really tight machine fit. Nice. That will go like that. Fits in there really nicely. And then that gets bolted onto there. Pretty easy really. Comes with all the bolts and all that type of stuff. And then this gets bolted to the engine itself. All right. One thing to note, where is it here? This is the top of the adapter plate for the 2JZ. Get that out of here. I've given it a trim off the top. The top being around here. Right, I've left this is all fine. I've just trimmed the adapter plate off the top here. Only reason is, now this is only for the 2JZ, and only if you're running the standard stainless steel cooler pipe, which goes across the back here. It just slightly touches it and holds the adapter plate off of the actual like face of the engine here. You possibly could loosen it off, push it up. I've just trimmed it off because we're not actually using those bolts. So that's the only mod that I had to do to that. Otherwise it fits really, really nice. Comes with all like these like guides and everything like that you put in, all the nuts and bolts. It's a beautiful piece of kit. So makes life pretty easy. Okay, next up is the transmission cooling system. So I've opted for a PWR transmission cooler. This is a beautiful kit that comes with rubber mounts and everything. Nice big grunty fan. We've got the fluid here. Bang, bang, bang. I've got a thermostat housing, and I've opted to use obviously all like sort of braided lines. I've opted to use a dry brake for maintenance, but you don't have to use a dry brake if you don't want to. And then what happens is on the gearbox, it comes factory with an inlet and an outlet for the transmission cooler. I've already installed an HPR billet adapter to go to AN lines, and you'll see in here, and obviously you'll see when this is complete, but I have already installed it already just to see what I was going in for. So thermostat housing is going to go on there. These lines connect to the thermostat housing, cruises along here, hopefully it can focus, and then I'm mounting the PWR fan and cooler on the back here with all the lines. So you'll see that soon, but that come up really nice.
I love you.
Okay, so next up is the Crossmember for the chassis of the S15 to mount pretty much the gearbox. So on this adapter, which is a all-wheel drive gearbox to rear-wheel drive, it's got these bolt holes here which are suited to do either a custom bracket setup or potentially use this beautiful billet HPR kit, which should be a plug-and-play bolt-on scenario. In the time of this video, 8Speed, who create these adapters,
I love you.
You weren't able to use a all-wheel drive converted to rear-wheel drive adapter and be able to use this at the same time. You might have been able to modify it, but I just went ahead and built my own. So 8Speed do supply this bracket, which lines up with their bolt holes and everything there, and then from here you can go and build your own sort of setup. I've used a couple of rubber mounts, washers and all that type of stuff, but I do believe now that 8Speed's four-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive adapters now can utilize potentially this HPR kit, so hopefully that is the case. Okay, so I'm at this stage right now, but I've jumped ahead a couple of stages. Just picture that the adapter plate and the flex plate aren't installed. What we need to focus on is the starter motor. So the starter motor sits in the back there. From factory, your starter motor sits there and it goes through a couple of factory bolt holes into your bell housing. With this setup, I've opted to leave the factory holes through the factory engine starter motor holes, and I've tapped them. I've tapped them to just 12 by 1.25 tap, and you get to it on this side here. They're already pre-drilled. You just literally start running your tap through two different holes. Once they're all tapped in, you're able to now bolt the starter motor from this way directly into the engine. Now if I took a bell housing or this adapter plate off, starter motor stays there, so it's nice and happy days. Then I've installed on the back side of this the factory machined washer that goes around the back of this, and then the ARP bolts all torqued up nice and tight with Loctite. 75 foot-pounds of torque. And then adapter plates installed. It's got some locators on the other side, plus you put locators on this side for when you slide the gearbox on. and then you've got an array of bolts that go around here and bolt to the actual block itself. And then it's pretty much ready for the gearbox. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole mechanical side of the install done. Oil pan goes in really nicely, which has got all the stainless hardware that goes around. One thing to note too is when you get these gearboxes, whether you get it from Charles at Track Industries or a different mob, they have this bolt that's pressing up this little I guess lever here, which helps to put it into either like sort of park or neutral or whatever. You unwind that when you install the pan because the pan won't fit with it wound up, and you want it wound down anyway so it's in its natural position. Then you've got a heat shield that comes in. You can use this or you don't have to. Mounts up to all of the just the bottom of the pan there, which is nice. So as you can see, it'll protect the gearbox from getting direct exhaust temperature. You can run like an external temperature sensor if you wanted to. You don't really need to. It has an internal one. And that's pretty much it. And then what I have done already is I have filled up the, on the side here, there is an oil fill hole. So you just unwind this. So the procedure with filling up the oil was pretty much put as much oil in as I could before I started the car. Once it was coming out of the fill hole, put the cap back in, started the car up for about maybe 5 seconds, if that. Turned it back off, because what you're trying to do here is the oil pump, you want it to go into the torque converter. You want to fill up the torque converter with all the oil. So I guess this is a little bit of my high bird technique on filling up the oil. And then put as much oil as you can back in until it starts to come back out again. And then I ran the car for, put the cap back in and then ran the car for about, let's just say sort of 5 minutes. And that was able to get all the oil around the gearbox and stuff like that, turned it back off and was able to put some more oil in. So without potentially the oil going down to the oil cooler, because it does have a thermostat, it took about 7 litres. And then once I'd done that, I literally was able to run the car, take it out of the driveway and stuff and sort of just go backwards and forwards in the driveway, not really doing much at all. And then I came back and I filled it back up because the temperature was able to open up the thermostat, get all the oil all the way through all the lines. And then I had Charles come around a little bit later on, and we jacked up the car, ran the car for a little bit, and just spun the rear wheels. We went through some of the gears and everything, and he was filling it up on the go, just to get the last little bit in there, and then put the cap back in, and that was it pretty much. So it takes about 9.5 litres to 10 litres when you're running an external, obviously, oil cooler and stuff like that. So something to note. Okay, that'll wrap up this video. It's going to be a little bit lengthy on this one because it's kind of like a how-to guide, but hopefully I've gone over everything on the mechanical side of things. If you need any more information or I've left something out, don't hesitate to hit me up, or even Charles at Track Industries, because he is a legend with heaps of knowledge, and that's kind of where I've been getting a lot of my knowledge from as well. So I've intentionally left out the electrical side of things. In the next video, I will go over in detail the Turbo Lamech TCU, all the inputs and outputs, I guess how to set it all up. I am using a Link Fury G4X, but it's the same sort of concepts for all your Haltex and everything like that. And then I'll take the car on the road. We'll do like get the gearbox learning itself, adaptations and all that type of stuff. And I guess that'll be nice for people setting this up themselves, like myself, to be able to have somewhere to sort of see what you should be expecting it to be, and all the information coming back when you have set it up correctly. So you got, because with these gearboxes, and I'm relatively new to it, you have a lot of like torque management, slip, you have all these things going on with the clutch pack. So it is nice to know what you should be seeing. So hopefully you like, subscribe, you can help a brother out by sharing any of this type of stuff, and I'll see you on the next video.